Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Great Scott! There's no crying in baseball!
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
This is where the fun begins.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right. We're ranking Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a 2022 action-adventure comedy film based on the Sonic video game series and the sequel to the Sonic the Hedgehog film in 2020. In the film, Sonic joins forces with Tails to stop Dr. Robotnik and Knuckles from obtaining a powerful ancient artifact that could put the fate of the world at risk. This was a user-commented movie, so shout out again to J-Beans for the Sonic recommendation. I have now watched all three for this channel, and I gotta say, out of the three, I don't know if it's just fatigue, but this one was definitely my least favorite. Let's get into why with the 10 essential aspects of a movie. First is plot. Does the movie follow a comprehensive story arc and is plausible within the world that has been created? Whenever we're talking about a franchise or a sequel, I like to ask the question, did it make sense for this movie to get made? Did you have enough story worth telling to make another movie? Or were you just trying to capitalize on the success of a previous franchise or movie and make some money? I thought they gave plenty of reason here. It's a kid's movie, so you don't need much to just make another movie. I thought they gave plenty. I thought the actual villain arc here with Dr. Robotnik was worth telling. It felt bigger. It definitely felt a lot larger than the first movie. It felt like a step up in danger. And then Sonic himself had his own story arc that he had to go through, learning about responsibility. That all felt worth it. But I do think it was kind of a mess. It felt a lot messier than the first and third movies, albeit I haven't watched the third one in a while. This one just seemed really odd. Now they did split Tom and Sonic, and I do understand that they were trying to give Sonic his own arc about learning responsibility, so he couldn't have Tom around. And that's okay, but it just made the movie far less interesting. Part of that is a personal bias in the fact that I just didn't like Sonic in the first place. He's okay, I get it, he's the kid's character, so I'm not gonna harp on him too much, but he was kind of boring, and Tom was more for the adults, and so was Dr. Robotnik. Like, their jokes were a little funnier to me as an adult. Sonic has never been funny. And then they put Sonic with Tails, and that whole time it's just so uninteresting to me. But then I don't even get the relief with Tom because his whole story arc in Hawaii wasn't interesting either. Especially the Hawaii section felt like a complete mess. Was it the end of the world? No, but compared to the other movies, this one just didn't feel as well put together, and it was the longest one, and I feel like you could tell because it seemed like they were just trying to do too much. Second is attraction. Does the movie have an interesting premise with a high entertainment value? This movie definitely felt like it leaned a lot heavier into being for children. Though they're all kids' movies, I think the first and the third movie can be watched as adults and be entertaining depending on what kind of adult you are. This one, I think a lot of adults are really going to struggle. I do think it found success in its time because it was just popular and somewhat of a meme, so it had popularity and people enjoyed it because they understood what was going on. I think later in time, when you're not in that bubble and you're not warped by everybody kind of going to it and watching it and being a fan of it, it's not that interesting, it's not that good. This one is so much more focused for children. I do think kids would have a good time with this movie because it really leans into the absolute just ridiculousness of a kid's movie and adults not acting like adults at all, just being absolutely crazy and saying silly things and all this dramatic stuff going on. It's all fine, it's all good for children, but definitely the least interesting as an adult. Third is theme. What message or truth is a movie trying to convey? I will say that the theme is decent in this movie. That's something that's consistent through the franchise at this point. First and third one did a good job. This one does a good job as well. It's about Sonic learning responsibility, about what it means to be a true hero and putting others before yourself. I enjoy it. I think it's just a good little message that kids can learn. Will they learn from it? I don't know. Probably not. I think this one is the least touching out of all of them as far as emotions go to get you to really learn the lesson. But it's still a good lesson overall. There's nothing in here that's bad. It's just Sonic learning and growing about what it means to be a hero. Fourth is dialogue. Is there a real feel to the conversations? Of course not, but that's not what this movie was going for, right? I mean, it's a kid's movie and they really went all in on that. But that being said, it is the least funny Sonic movie. I did not find myself laughing at this movie pretty much at all because a lot of the comedy comes from Sonic himself and I just have never found him funny. I do think that that humor is much more for kids. I will give them credit that they at least went all in on the comedic aspect for children. So I do think a kid could find this really funny, even though in time, I do think it won't be as funny to children because things just move on like that. But it's not terrible, right? At least they went all in, and to a kid, this might be the funniest movie and the best movie because they decided to do that. The only problem I had with the dialogue was the fact that they had these weird moments where they're trying to sneak in cuss words, but not really, which I just don't understand why you have to do that. I don't know if they thought it was going to be funny for adults. I just don't think it's really that funny. It's kind of useless, you know, when Jim Carrey, you know, Dr. Robotnik's leaving the mushroom planet and he's saying, I gotta get the shiitake out of here. And it's like, you're so clearly trying to put that word in there. I just don't know. It's such a weird thing to do when you're going all kids. Just let it be all kids. Don't put random stuff like that that really isn't going to be funny for adults. Like no adult finds shiitake mushrooms funny. Like no one finds that funny. So just cut that out and just let it be. That's the only thing I found weird about the dialogue in this film. Fifth is acting. Are the characters convincing? Now I always talk about Jim Carrey as Eggman. I do think this is probably his weakest stint as Eggman. Again, I think this is just overall because of the movie. I liked him better in the first movie because of the way that he was developing. I just thought that character was funnier. The jokes were written better. The third one has two versions of him, and I thought that was more fun and had funnier moments. So he's still funny. He's still Jim Carrey. I still love him in this role. I think he does a good job with the energy of this role. However, it really is split. More of his interactions have to do with Knuckles and not just him as much in this film. So I do think it's kind of the weakest showing, but he's still funny and I still enjoy seeing him. Idris Elba as Knuckles, I really like his casting here. I think his voice fits well to what they were doing to the character. Probably, I would dare to say the best. Out of any character, he probably fits it the most. I mean, Jim Carrey's still just kind of being Jim Carrey, even though that is fun as Eggman. I do think that Knuckles really sounded like a version of Knuckles. Like, he was very convincing as that voice. It just fit really well. Was it Colleen O'Shaughnessy? She plays Tails. I don't know if I'm gonna be mad at her, but I hated Tails. I hated the way she did the voice. It's such an anime voice, like, oh, Sonic, we've got to do this. And I hate it. I hate that voice. I hate that tone. It's so annoying, so uninteresting. I don't know if kids enjoy that. I do believe she's the original voice for Tails, so that's how Tails has always sounded. I don't know. I don't really know anything about Sonic. I didn't know anything about these characters at all, and I just couldn't stand Tails at all. I hated the way that voice was. It was just so annoying. On top of Sonic's like terrible jokes paired with Tails' awful voice, just made for moments in this movie that I was pretty miserable. 6 is cinematography. Is there a creative use of lighting, setting, and wardrobe to convey emotion? Like I said in plot, this movie did feel bigger. There was a lot going on. I thought it still looked good. A lot of the action was fun. All of the hedgehogs were a fun addition. All their superpowers were really fun to watch and look at. So there's nothing really to complain about. I thought they did a good job of making this whole movie feel bigger. As far as emotion goes, yeah, there's none. Like I said, they just really leaned into that kids aspect, and so they never really had any moments to get deep and serious because the whole movie was just such a big joke all the time with nothing really serious happen. So they do try to have moments where lessons are taught or people are talking about their past and it's supposed to feel emotional, but it really doesn't at all. 7th is editing. This is all about the pace of the movie. The movie is 2 hours and 2 minutes long. It is entirely too long. I thought they just tried to do too much with this film, especially with the way that they had this final fight going on at the end. They had to go to this place, get the emerald, and then have this giant thing go on. If you were going to be doing all that, I really think they should have just cut a lot of the Hawaii stuff down or out, or some of the Sonic and Tails stuff you have to keep in there, but I just thought they tried to introduce so much, and even though it felt bigger, it just really padded the runtime, and it was entirely too long. I wish this movie stayed more around the hour 40 to 50 mark. I think you could have easily cut 15 minutes out of this movie, and it would have felt the same, and honestly better because it didn't drag on so much. 8th is soundtrack. It's fine. I barely noticed it, if I'm being honest. So I can't really give it credit. I can't really take away. It just exists and does what it's supposed to do. 9th is directing. Now I feel the director is in charge of the previous 8 aspects. They're the ones that have to put it all together, give it their stamp of approval, and make a really good movie. Now the director of this movie is Jeff Fowler, and this was his 2nd movie. The 2 films that he's directed to this point are Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. He would go on to make Sonic 3 and is now going to direct Sonic 4. At this point with this video, I have now reviewed all 3 Sonics, so if you are interested in my review of the other 2, you can go check those out. That being said, usually with a director, I like to give them 3 movies before I make a definitive decision about how I feel about them as a director. And I think with the 3 Sonic movies, Jeff is he knows his lane. He's doing what he wants to do, and he's decent at it. These are decent kids movies. Are they amazing? No. Are they terrible? No. I've seen much, much worse. So I do think he warrants being a director, and I think he's smart to just kind of stay where he likes to be, what he's good at doing because he has experience here. I really don't mind it. I think the 4th one will be a great indicator of can he even do it better, because I do think he really improved things in the 3rd movie. So I do like him as a director. I'll be interested to see what the 4th one does, and if he ever makes anything else, I'd be really curious to see what else he can do outside of the realm of kids movies. 10th is time. Will it stand the test of time? I don't really think so. It will always be a part of this franchise, so maybe in some way, if this franchise retains some sort of name, it will. But overall, I think the whole thing will kind of lose its luster as time goes on. As the decades go by, it'll be forgotten because it is very timely. The comedy is very timely. I do think that it was a wave of popularity rather than being popular because it is just excellent. It's okay. It's not a bad movie series at all, but I do think this is the worst one. I don't think the whole series will last, and this being the worst one definitely won't. Now for the review section. Rotten Tomatoes critics gives it a 69, the audience gives it a 96, and IMDb gives it a 65. 96 is entirely too high. I do think this was just kind of the ride of popularity, which is great. It's fun to have that and be in the moment, like something like the Minecraft movie where it just gets probably more praise than it really deserves. This is the same way. It's not that great of a movie. Is it bad? No, but it's definitely not 96. I would put it in the 70s. I think it's just decent. It's definitely going after kids, and I do think kids can be entertained, but adults aren't going to be as much. It just kind of does what it's supposed to and doesn't do anything great, doesn't do anything bad. It just kind of exists. I feel like 69 is the closest, but I would probably still knock it up into that 70 range. Finally, for the rankings. For the year of 2022, it is the only movie I've reviewed, so it's going to be first in entertainment and first in cinematography. For the decade of the 2020s, out of 72 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 38th, just below Beetlejuice, and above Ballerina. This is just, honestly, all these movies are the same. They will hit a certain kind of niche section of an audience. There are people that are going to like this movie, but it's just not going to be everybody. But if you're in that group that can enjoy this kind of movie, you will. You'll think it's somewhat entertaining. I have it below Beetlejuice because I found that movie funnier. It definitely has more adult jokes that I enjoyed. It's just as creative and fun, and I just think that I probably fall into enjoying that movie more because I'm an adult, and Sonic 2 just doesn't deliver that as much. That being said, I have it above Ballerina, which is also an adult kind of movie for entertainment that's all fighting. I mean, 75% of that movie is fighting. I just don't find the fighting to be that good enough to be really interesting to me because it's not necessarily my thing. I think I could shut my brain off and enjoy Sonic 2 more than something like Ballerina. Now, cinematically, out of 72 total movies, it is going to be 31st, just below Moana 2 and above Hard Eyes. This is the kind of movie that it's creative, it's got creative aspects. It definitely did step it up from the first movie, and it still has that good theme in it. So, does it do anything amazing? No. Is it worth existing? Yeah, I think so. Just like Moana 2, I do think Moana 2 is just a little more creative. I think it's a little more satisfying to look at. So when we're looking at it as an art form, I think they kind of hit the same notes, but Moana 2, I feel overall, is just a little more creative. I do have it above Hard Eyes. Hard Eyes is just not as much of a cinematic movie, it's very much an entertainment movie. I don't think there's as much of a theme there that is present in Sonic 2. I think Sonic 2 is just overall a little more wholesome and creative. Even though it is a kid's movie, it just still has those aspects that make it, you know, valuable as an art form, where Hard Eyes is just a little more entertaining. Even though it's a well done entertainment movie, there's only so many things it can do cinematically because it just doesn't care that much. All time, out of 89 total movies on the entertainment side, it is going to be 53rd, above Ballerina and below Beetlejuice. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. And cinematically, out of 89 total movies, it is going to be 41st, again, just below Moana 2 and above Hard Eyes. It's there for the exact same reasons as before. That's all I've got for Sonic 2. I was a little disappointed because I did enjoy the third one. I enjoyed the first one. I expected to enjoy this one, and I just didn't enjoy it as much. If you have watched this series, do you agree that this is the worst one? If you don't, what is the worst one? And why do you think it is? Which one's the best one, and why do you like that? I really enjoy it when you guys comment and tell me what did you think about the movie. That's why I created this. Wanted to make a little community, talk to people who also enjoy movies. I don't really care about my opinion. I care about yours. So please feel free to comment your opinion. I'm a small YouTube channel, so I will see it, and I'll get the, we can have a little back and forth to talk about what you liked and didn't like. But if you want me to watch a movie to review, make sure to comment it down below. But otherwise, I'm Mr. Majoritarian. Stay classy, San Diego.